Now to the high-profile case pitting religious freedom against the rule of law. Today, at least 3 same-sex couples are enjoying life as newlyweds in Rowan County, Kentucky. Well, its clerk, Kim Davis, remains in jail for refusing to obey a judge's court order. Davis's attorneys now say the only way that she would stand down would be to take Davis's name off the marriage licenses. Her attorneys adding that the licenses with their client's name on them while she was in jail are not valid. The chairman of Liberty Counsel agrees.
The marriage licenses that were issued this morning, it is our position and the position of the clerk of Rowan County, Kim Davis, that those licenses are void. They are not being issued under the authority of Rowan County Clerk's office, and they're not worth the paper that they are written on.
So that was actually Kim Davis's attorney there. Let's bring in Kirsten Wilson, trial attorney and former prosecutor, and Robert Bianchi, criminal defense attorney, former head county prosecutor and trial attorney. Thank you both for being here.
Great to be here.
Thank you.
This has been a fascinating case to see unfold. The presidential candidates have even been drawn in to some extent. We have Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee saying that Kim Davis is in federal custody, removing all doubts about the criminalization of Christianity in this country. So, Kirsten, what do you think? Is this a matter of religious freedom, or is this about a woman who's not upholding her oath?
I think it's about the latter, a woman not upholding her oath. Separating out her personal feelings, we simply can't have officials taking oaths to uphold the laws of the United States and the states in which they live, and then deciding unilaterally that they disagree with them and therefore they're not going to apply in their jurisdiction.
What do you think about the argument that Davis is making, and also about how political this has become, Bob?
It's outrageous how the legal system has been politicized, especially during this presidential campaign. You have people speaking out of both sides of their mouths, and the things that concern me are some of them are lawyers, even Ivy-educated lawyers. They know full well the Constitution is the Supreme Court of the land. That's what Supreme Court justices do, and they're required, and she was required to enforce the law. In one sense, they say sanctuary cities should be enforced, and it was wrong for the city officials not to do it. But then when it's a political thing that it's advantageous to them, then they say, well, she has a right, this woman has a right not to issue these marriage licenses. And it's this division and an improper, outrageous abuse of the legal system being prostituted for purposes of political gain that is so divisive in destroying this country.
Kirsten, what do you think? Some people make this argument that she's a resistor, that she's pushing back against a Supreme Court decision that shouldn't have been made, and that she's standing up in that regard.
Well, and she's certainly able to do that in her own personal life, but to essentially deny everybody in Rowan County, because she's not just denying homosexual couples the right to marry, but also heterosexuals, denying everybody rights that they have been guaranteed would not be blocked by the states. And that's specifically what she's doing. She can step down and do anything she wants in her personal life as far as taking a stand about the Supreme Court's decision, but to do it in her official capacity is completely in error and potentially even criminal.
And I agree with that. It's an act of official misconduct. Let's not forget, she put her hand on a Bible, I would imagine, and swore to uphold the laws of the state and the federal and state constitutions. She's abdicated that responsibility. And the bottom line is it's really disgusting to me that people are using religion and Christianity. I'm a devout Catholic, and I understand as a former prosecutor, there are laws sometimes we have to execute that we may not like, but we took a responsibility, and there are avenues for her to take if she doesn't like it, and that's to get out. But for people to sit there and say that she's being persecuted as a Christian because she's not following the law were the same arguments made during the civil rights movement in the 60s when they blocked the entrances for black people under the Civil Rights Act to get into college. It's an outrage and should end.
Well, it's funny you say that. Davis's lawyer has said this is the first time in American history that someone's been jailed for believing that marriage is between a man and a woman, and he compared her actually to Martin Luther King Jr. And what some people have found disconcerting about this isn't, they may not agree with what she's done, but they might feel uncomfortable that she's in jail. So could the judge have done something differently, or are his hands kind of tied in a sense?
I think his hands are kind of tied. In this situation, the judge can't unilaterally bring charges against her. That actually has been something that's been looked at by the DA in Rowan County, but he's conflicted out because he's representing her in other actions where the county's being sued. So the Attorney General's office in Kentucky is looking at this, but the judge didn't have a lot of options. He could have fined her or taken the step of putting her in jail. jail, and that's what his decision was.
And he had an opportunity and gave her an opportunity for a number of different things. She wants to eat her cake and have it too. She could walk away from that position, and she could have deputies do it. She refused to take every accommodation possible. And I'll tell you what, I think the judge was also making a strong statement. Government officials have sworn a responsibility to execute the laws, and that's exactly what they're supposed to do. And if you don't do it, you go into jail until you're willing to comply.
We only have a couple seconds here, but Kim, is what Kim Davis has done different from other folks that are saying, you know, I don't want to bake the cake for a ceremony related to gay marriage? Is she different?
Absolutely different. Absolutely different. She is a public official. She is a state actor. It's entirely different. And once again, we're talking about not just sort of an emotional reaction, that's a different standard, but legally it is different if you are acting on behalf of the state. The Supreme Court's decision said the states can't deny people these rights, and she is the state.
Yeah, and I agree with that completely. Let's not confuse civil disobedience from some great people like Martin Luther King or Gandhi or these great figures. They were not public officials. They were private individuals. And I agree with Kirsten. When you swear an oath that you are going to uphold the Constitution and the laws, then you have abdicated your role as a private figure into the public world. Private people can demonstrate. We see that going on all over the country in the last year. But she is not in the business of being able to pick and choose which laws she'll enforce and which ones she won't.
All right, Kirsten Wilson, Robert Bianchi, thank you so much both for being here. We appreciate it.
Great pleasure.
And Kim Davis remains in jail for now.
There we go.